You're listening to LSPN, the authority on sports-related podcasts.
The Calallen Wildcats weekly press conference is brought to you by the Calallen Touchdown Booster Club. The Touchdown Booster Club exists to support and promote the Calallen High School football program by uniting students, parents, coaches, and the community.
The Calallen Football Show is sponsored by Rat Hole Drilling for all your rat hole, mouse hole, and cellar construction needs. ratholedrilling.com. Also by Nolan's Restaurant. Nolan's Restaurant has been a Corpus Christi tradition. Whether you're craving choice steaks, Gulf Coast seafood, real pit barbecue, or their famous original poor boy sandwich, Nolan's delivers high-quality, scratch-made favorites that feel like home. Come taste generations of flavor at Nolan's. We also want to thank Meyer for their support. All right, everybody, join me in welcoming Coach Charlie Reeve. Coach, you're practicing on Thanksgiving. How cool.
We are. We're blessed to come to work this week, and it's always special when you're one of 16 teams to continue to be playing. So we're blessed to be here, and it's always a fun time to play on Thanksgiving.
No doubt. So let's talk about that Canyon Lake game. Once again, the Wildcats jumped out early. So talk me through this one.
We did. I'll tell you what, our kids are playing with some confidence right now, and really started out with our defense. We get the ball first, take it down. Number one, we had got a big return with our kickoff return, and Jaden Martinez, one of our upbacks, took a sky kick and brought it back across the field, set us up in really good field position. Offense, we were able to go and punch it in, and that's always the first goal, is to score on the first drive of the game. And defense, I thought, for what they do offensively, and they're a team that throws it a whole lot more than what we've seen all year, I thought our defensive staff really put a good plan together, and we talked before the game about trying to create takeaways, and we ended up creating four turnovers, 3 interceptions, and one fumble recovery, and 2 of those interceptions went back for touchdowns. So, anytime you can do that on defense, you're going to set yourself up for a good game. But yeah, I thought our kids really played well, and we're playing with a lot of confidence right now, and it's a good time to do that.
Yeah, definitely. Let's talk about first those defensive players. Pull out some of those names.
Well, starts out Drayson Gomez. He actually set a school record for us, the first time that we've had 2 pick sixes in one game, and
by the same person.
By the same person, yeah. And but our whole secondary played really well. Like I said, I mean they threw it around probably 65% of the time, and I thought it kind of starts out with our D line. We needed to get some pressure on the quarterback and not let him sit back there. And so I thought our D line really played well, and our linebackers, we were able to create some pressure with those guys. And then, like I said, secondary wise, I thought they really, really played well. And, they had some really good receivers, as we talked about last week, to get the ball to. I thought the quarterback was a really accurate and a good passer. And so, all around, I thought our defense really played well, and that was good to see.
Yeah. Well, other than the 2 defensive scores, you still put up pretty good offensive numbers. So talk about some of those offensive players.
Sure. And again, just kind of we talk about on defense, starts out up front. I think in the last 3 games, our offensive line has really played well. Canyon Lake was a team that I thought really did a good job up front. They had some really good linebackers, but I thought our offensive line has really played well the last 3 games, and that's where it starts with us. But our backs continue to run well. Jimmy Tipton, which we forget that he's only a freshman, And, with Ricky being out, being hurt, he's kind of been the main back. And, he's really done a great job and broke off some big runs. And I thought he ran really tough. I thought, our quarterback, Connor Klossman, continued to run the ball well and, continue to add, just some diversity in the backfield. Anytime you can run your quarterback and people aren't focused in on one guy back there. Didn't throw the ball just too terribly much, but I thought we were efficient again throwing the ball. And, anytime that we can get the ball on the edge to Drayson and Reeve and those guys, good things are going to happen. So, again, offensively, number one is we took care of the ball. That's always the first goal is, 100% ball security and especially in the playoffs and you start playing good teams. I mean, it comes down to, small things, and obviously the turnover margin is huge. And so, anytime we can be +4 in the turnover margin, you got a chance to win. So, offense, defense, special teams, I thought our cover units, our kickoff team has continued to be a bright spot as far as our kickoff or our special teams, our kickoff return. Didn't get a whole lot of opportunities, but we won the field position, battle, which that's always big. So, we talk about complementary football and all three phases doing their job, and that's what we've, been able to do the last 2 weeks.
Nice. And the result thus far is you've made it to double-digit wins, 10-2 right now. Yeah. It's, anytime you can win 10 games, that's always special, but we're not satisfied and we're not done yet. And we'll have time after the season kind of look back on the things that we've been able to accomplish. But sure, anytime you can win 10 games and, that's always a feather in the cap. But yeah, we, hopefully we can keep adding to that. Yeah, no doubt. And this week you go against an 11-win team in Lavernia. They had a big win over Somerset, put up, 51 points against them. So talk about this Lavernia team because they're strong. They are. They're really, really good. And, I think they are a very complete team, in all three phases. I think they're one of the better teams, as far as special teams go. You look at last week's game, they had a kickoff return for a touchdown. They had a block punt. They had some other big returns. And so I think they do a really good job, special teams. I think they're a really well-coached team, and a really physical team, and it's going to be a physical game on Friday night. Offensively, they've got, really, three weapons in the backfield, their quarterback, and then they've got two running backs that are, as good as good as we've seen this year. And we've seen some pretty good backs, this season, up front. They've got some size and, they're going to come right at you. And I think, if you kind of look at their track record, the last 2 years, and especially in the playoffs, they're a team that, they wear you down, and, you get in the fourth quarter and, they kind of run away with games. And so, it's going to be a physical game, and, defensively, I think they're kind of the same deal. I think they're a really physical team. I think they play well as a unit. They run really well with the ball. I think they're, fundamental in technique. I think they're really well coached. I think they're really good tacklers. And so, at this point in the season, everybody who plays is going to be really good, and it's going to come down to, to the details and, doing the little things right and, taking care of the ball. And again, it's going to take all three phases for us, and we're going to have to play really well, but, they're a really good team, and, we're excited about the challenge and the matchup, and we feel like if we put 4 quarters together and do the things that we're capable of doing, we're going to be in good shape. Well, and that game is Black Friday in San Antonio, right? It is 7:00 at Dub Ferris Stadium, and so it's a great venue, and
hopefully it'll start actually feeling like, playoff weather. I think it's, cold front's supposed to come in tomorrow, and so it ought to feel like playoff weather on Friday, and so ought to be a great atmosphere and ought to be a great game.
Definitely. And on the other side of the bracket, you got Bay City and Davenport. They're waiting in the wings, the winner of that. How do you see that game coming out?
I'll tell you what, I think both of those teams, obviously, again, like we said, I mean, they're all good at this point. I haven't watched a whole lot of either one. Obviously, we've watched a little bit of Bay City just, preparing for, El Campo, and then now Lavernia being in that same district. And then we've seen a little bit of Davenport when Canyon Lake played Davenport. We've seen them on film a little bit, throughout the year. But, I think it's, I think on both sides, I think there's, two, evenly matched teams. I think, obviously Bay City's got a lot of speed, and Coach Jones has done a great job, turning that thing around. And then Davenport is a team that's, since it just seems like since they've, come on the scene that they've been a contender every year. And so, that'll also be a great game, and we'll cross that road when we get there. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens on that one.
Yeah, we'll definitely talk about that one next week. So once again, congratulations on the Canyon Lake win, and best of luck this week. And let's get some Bears and move on one more week.
Absolutely. Happy Thanksgiving to you guys.
Thank you. Since 2012, JE Construction Services has built the roads and infrastructure that keeps South Texas moving. Their heavy civil expertise covers refinery work, underground utilities, paving, and more. If you want a dependable, full-service contractor, choose JE Construction Services. Visit their website at jecs.cc. That's JE Construction Services.